Welcome back to another episode of the Rollin in My 5.0 podcast with KASL Customs and the infamous project. Ladies and gents, I'm back. Sorry for the hiatus, but a massive thank you goes out to the one and only Tom, the War Admiral, for filling in for me while I'm gone. It's been a long couple of weeks, and ladies and gents, it's been a long, probably better part of like 9.5 months, and we're actually going to get into it in this episode. I'm going to fill you in on everything and anything that's been going on. Chris and I start this episode off with a little bit of a rant and rave, but then we get into it all, and I think it will all start to make a heck of a lot more sense for anyone out there that was maybe curious as to what's going on in my world these days. So, with that being said, ladies and gents, I hope you all have a great week. We hope that you're all staying warm and safe, and with everything that's been going on with the weather these days, we just really want this message to get out to you and let you know we're thinking about you. And we hope you're all safe and sound. So please enjoy this week's episode. Okay, buddy. Handful of minutes into this as folks, we're trying to get our rants out before we record. Because we're both of the opinion that we've entered into a few of these back and forth between just me and Chris, that it's probably full of a lot of negative shit that we don't need to bore you guys with that. Everyone's got enough negative shit in their own lives.
No, it's true. And for the record, this pod is not AI generated or chat GPT'd or any of that shit. And I say that because I was chatting with a mutual friend of ours about Facebook earlier and how so much of it is driven by AI or influenced by that. And it's sort of playing off the other week when I was like, I want to delete my Instagram or like just stop using it and Facebook. And Brittany's like, no, you can't do that. You're a business. You need to showcase and have a face and all this stuff. And I'm like, well, maybe I'll just turn messaging off or commenting off. She's like, oh, you need the engagement. And I'm like, it's just so frustrating. And our friend, Mr. Kennedy, actually posted up the other day, right? Like, who misses the good old days of Instagram with just a picture and, without all the reels and nonsense. And, it's not the normal reels or someone making a short video that's the problem. It's all this influx of just fake, not real, like trying to grab you or your attention, clickbait stuff for
bears flipping cars over and shit.
And like, don't get me wrong, like, again, I like some of the cat videos here and there, but like, enough is enough. Like, when you really think about it, I'm just going to say this. This is what I want. If somebody knows how to do this or has any influence out there, there needs to be a filter button for Facebook that says, if any content is potentially deemed created by AI, filter it the fuck out of my feed.
Okay, buddy. On this note, though, hold on. There is another side to this. Okay. I've been called out twice in the last month that 2 of my posts have been AI. Now, when I say called out, just called out in the comments. So funny enough, the first one is, I did this thing kind of panning around that reverts engine bay. And it was something to do with like, hey, wifey wants to know when you're coming in for bed. And I edited it in such a way where I was like, the first text pops up at like 4:68 in the morning, which anytime I see a meme or a reel that's a meme like that, where they have the time all fucked up, I'm instantly start giggling because I'm like, okay, we're talking way into the wee hours of the morning, right? Like so wee that time doesn't even exist. Well, what people have taken that as is it's AI created because AI fucks time up and it doesn't know how to write words correctly. So there's this whole thread in the comments section of people going, yeah, that's totally AI. Don't even like it or share it or think it's funny. It's just AI created. The guy's a hack.
It's like the
Like,
30th of February, right?
yeah, yeah. And then the other one is that video of me and you where I wrote on the screen something about, it's safer to speed because our speedo's fucked. They think that's AI. Yeah, buddy.
Oh.
Like, so it's almost gone too far the other way where people are
Mhm.
getting like had so often that now they're like beyond, like they're too cautious and they're looking for all these weird little nuances to be like, nope, that's it. That's totally AI. Moving on. So be
Yeah.
careful what you wish for, I guess, is the moral of the story.
Well, you know what? And if some stuff gets caught in the crossfire, then that's fine. Like, and I'd be willing to pay. So it's almost like, if you pay for YouTube Premium, you don't have to deal with ads or any of that type of stuff. Same thing. Like, let me not see whoever the hell's paying for all these bullshit reels and clips that are, like, I'm genuinely interested. The IT side of me is curious to know how many like 100% artificial pages or groups are out there that are generating 100% AI created content that is literally just scheduled, getting posted, and just let the 5, 10, $50 come in from here, there, or whatever. Because it's almost like you could create those farms,
Yeah.
right? Of bots and whatever else, AI generation tools that are just feeding all these things, and they could all be feeding into one bank account. Someone's getting, however much money a month just off all this. Like, brilliant. That's great. You had all the dumbasses out there, but just don't let me choose what I want to see, because they've been so good about it. Right? If it comes to politics or if it comes to all of these other categories, right? We can be very sensitive about that, but like nothing is capturing or dealing with the fakeness. And to your point, so many people are being had, and this is everything. Like, this is coming down, like the weather. You can't even trust weather information that you see, because like everybody is an authority on everything now. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's just, I don't know, it's too much. That's why I want to shut it down. But
I think
just
that's kind of the one of
give
the
me the
scary parts.
filtering.
Right. Well, one of the scary parts of that though is like the filter is most likely going to be AI driven. Like for us in the YouTube world, which I can't help but think that YouTube is just kind of like beta testing. Okay, how does this all work if we allow the creator to click a little remote button to say, like, this content is not real in some way, shape, or form? I can't remember how the verbiage goes, but you know what I mean? When you're uploading a video, it pops up. Um, that's just obviously learning over time and it will get to know what is and what isn't. But then on the other side of it, kind of what you're saying is like, hey, somebody just like release this thing, which, like I say, is going to be AI driven. And will it take, posts like the one I just talked about with 4:68 a.m. and just instantly go, nope, AI, boom, you're in category A instead of category B, and we're not going to show this to anyone that has this filter turned on, right?
Right. Well, here's one for you that I found quite interesting. I wasn't surprised, but I was quite pleased to hear it. Is my good friend that I worked with in Dubai, who is from Australia. He came to visit the other week, and we were chatting something about social media, and he said it's actually banned for anyone under the age of 16.
Okay, buddy. Well, this has come up in my like personal
Because
life here.
I was like, right, because the first thing I thought of is how you have kind of banned your kids from it. So it was
Right.
sort of like that whole, and so my understanding, I asked the questions. I'm like, well, how did it come to be? Because was this like a government mandated thing, or like did the people push for it? And ultimately, um, I think there was like some high profile suicides that
Oh,
had happened. that were kind of linked probably around, like, I don't know if it was like bullying or whatever it was, but they were all of the age where, they deemed that social media had significant factors on it. So it was actually the parents that came and said, yeah, no, whatever. And they passed it. And now I don't know if that's all, like, I know he said like TikTok and Snapchat and that type of stuff, because I don't think, like, would your daughters even go on Facebook if they had the ability to? Like, I don't think that generation are Facebookers, but
Probably not. The only
yeah.
one that's popped up as a topic in our house is that Snapchat. Yeah, they don't seem to have any interest in anything else. Now, granted, to your point, we've starved them from everything, so I think that they'd probably jump on Twitter if they could. You know what I mean?
You mean
But
X?
yeah, X. Pardon me. Okay, here's my thoughts on this, and this may serve as a bit of a surprise coming from someone that has kind of taken the path that we have with our kids and social media. Is I'm in like 1000% disagreement of the Australian model. Now, I should preface that by saying I don't know a lot about what they're doing. I just kind of heard the headlines and stuff. So it automatically made me assume that this was like a government driven mandate. And why I'm against that is the same reason that I'm against, like, well, government control over anything that we as free people should be able to do, right? Guns, for example. Like, why is it up to them? Well, I know why they try to make it up to them, but I'm just speaking like a dumb shit here. Why is it up to them to tell me what I can and can't buy, right? It should be up to me to, like, if this is all about kids' safety, then I'm the one to blame if I don't have my shit in a safe or I leave stuff laying around loaded or I whatever. Same thing goes for social media, right? It should be my duty to say whether or not I want my kids on this or not some big brother government body saying we're just banning this from age whatever down.
Well, if the people
Now,
voted for it, though.
well, there is that, man, but I don't know. That gets into the realm of how good's your vote anymore. Who knows, right? Like,
So here's one that, and this came up as well. And again, I'm going off. I
yeah,
don't want to like
hearsay
quote,
and
I don't want to quote things 100%, but my understanding is that all Australian citizens must vote or they get fined.
Interesting.
So there's a little bit more of holding you accountable as being a citizen in
Right.
terms of the decisions that you make to help influence whatever. So like, and kind of same thing. Well, who has the right to tell me whether I can vote or not? You know what I mean? Like, you can go right like
Hmm.
the far end of the spectrum in terms of what you believe is right. But like at the end of the day, a good friend of mine always said, like, every country has the government that they deserve.
Yeah. Yeah. We've let it happen type thing, right? Yeah,
Right.
it's true.
So it's sort of like, you can't just judge them and think, oh, okay, whatever. But like if they created, that are cultured, so to speak,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
That way of doing things and decision making and all that, then so be it. That's your bed, lie in it. So
Yeah.
it was just
I don't
interesting,
even,
because like it's all about balance, right? Like what we want over here, maybe we don't want, in this thing, and it's I would never even want to try to be in one of those roles, and kudos to the people that do. And I think that that's another thing, is like anybody in the mindset that wants to be in that type of role, you should almost be questioning, well, what's that motive? Because it's like, it's so
yeah.
challenging, man. And right now is just such an interesting time. And I rather just stay out of it, so to speak. But
I couldn't agree more, buddy.
yeah.
Um, I'm sure I've said it on here before, but in case anybody's ever missed it, I like saying this because I've thought long and hard about it, and I can't help but think that it's probably one of the better options on a move forward basis in order for all of us to get what I think deep down, regardless of political stripe, it's what we all want. And I think, sorry, what that is I think people that want, or not if you want. There shouldn't be any want to get into politics. In order to get into politics, you need to be nominated, which I know kind of sounds silly because being voted is kind of like getting nominated, but just to get your name on the ballot, there's like a pre-vote, i.e. nomination, that has to happen where you yourself get nominated to run for office. Because what would happen then is the type of person that would get nominated would not be the type of person that wants to run for political office. Like, I know you don't, nor do I. And I'm not trying to say either of us would do a lot of good in there, but it's people like us that I think you want in those positions, because we're not going there for the book deals. We're not going there for, you know what I mean? And we
But
need to change.
if the process and everything was correct, then maybe it would want you or I to be there. And I think that that's part of the problem, is that like we see it for what it is, and it's like, oh, okay, well, that person knew that guy, and they got backed by this person because they funded that, so they're getting the vote here. And it's like, dude, it's like winning awards at a car show. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
kind of.
Foxtoberfest or whatever, the guy giving out free candy in front of his car saying, vote for my car.
Yeah.
It's there's always a
Well,
bias. There's always, there's never going to be like this ultra clear cut way of doing any of that, including some of these car shows, like even, well, whatever, Good Guys. All right. So
yeah.
like take it to like the next level. Like there's always going to be some sort of bias or whatever. It's like a jury on a murder trial. Like you want it to be
Yeah.
fair and you want the decision to be beyond a reasonable doubt, but it's kind of like who had the better sales pitch, or like who screwed up on the getting the evidence and then made it inadmissible. You know what I mean? And then that screwed the whole case. So
I know the more you kind of cut the cake, like the
yeah,
nastier it
it's just
gets
it's
almost. Yeah.
yeah, it's just like oh, what is it? There's a term, infinite something, where it just like no
Yeah.
matter what you do, it just keeps like in this cyclic thing, and it'll just kind of keep going and going and going and going. And you just forever rabbit hole, like building a fox body.
True. Um, well, one final point that I'll add to my whole nomination idea, and just to clear that up, maybe in case I didn't do a good enough job of it already, is like it'd be like a silent nomination, which sure, I guess that could be messed with, and a whole group of people get together and nominate someone, whatever. But beyond that, what it really boils down to is just a change of mentality for all of us. Because if you're nominated, you don't get to turn it down. This is like draft style military shit, right? And you serve your country just to serve your country. And you're not making $500,000 a year plus lobbyists, payouts and all this bullshit. You're making like 50K a year max. You're literally doing this to serve your country.
Oh man, I'm not going to country of Gary.
Yeah. I
No,
I don't know,
not
man.
going.
I just, yeah,
The
it's like
Republic of KASL. I am not going.
the whole thing's spinning way too quickly. And yeah, it's definitely one of those topics that you could drink the bar dry trying to figure out every aspect of it. But I don't know. That's one of the things that I kind of throw into the mix. Um, this whole like whoever's got the deepest pockets wins bullshit is garbage, you know?
Yeah.
Because yeah, one thing I was going to throw in actually on the whole Australia thing was I can see the guy's face. I can't remember his name, and I don't think he's in power there anymore, but he was during COVID. Like that guy was like the villain out of an X-Men movie. He was a fucking asshole, that guy. And I think they ran him off. I remember watching, like, I think everybody was paying attention to it, a lot of news during that time. And I remember seeing shit coming out of Australia. I thought, you poor buggers. Like, they had it rough, man. And it was all
Well,
due to that tyrant.
so that was another thing that I learned too, is that because technically Australia was founded with criminals, right?
Yep.
There's what did he call it? Tall poppy syndrome or something. Like Australians have this, I guess, general code, like Australian code of like nobody's better than the other person. Like, hey, we were all criminals at one point. Like we're all,
Oh
the
yeah.
same. So don't
Yeah.
try and stick your head up and above and be taller than the rest because we'll whack you down.
Right.
And so it's again, it's you can't just criticize another country without getting like the whole context and the understanding where a lot of this stuff
Sure.
comes from. Because as he was going through this, I think Brittany was the one who actually asked the question. He was like, no, he's like, this is, what I mean, like the mentality of the general population is just like, yeah, like nobody's better than the other person. We all came from the same, what I mean, like we're all human.
Yep.
We all need to eat and drink and shit and whatever. So don't think that you're better than me or better than the next guy.
That's not a bad thing to have in a country's DNA.
Yeah.
Maybe the criminal aspect, but like what come out of it. Yeah, I like that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I mean, this is how like groups of buddies like us all operate like we do. You know what I mean? Like you get a little too far out of line or you get a little too big for your britches, we're all going to let you know. Right. And you're probably going to feel like crawling into your bedroom and crying yourself to sleep because we light you up so bad, you know?
Yeah.
I like that. Huh. Well, anyway, buddy, where should we start on this?
Well, you've been a very busy man. I needed to call in the admiral, sorry, last week because you were
Public
running around.
service,
What's
right?
that?
Public service. War Admiral's like, yep, okay, I'm doing it for the country here. Let's do her.
Did you listen to the pod?
I did listen to the start of it. I haven't worked my way through the whole thing yet.
Okay, because
I heard you
lit
guys
you up
shit
a little
talking
bit
me out of
because
the
like
gate.
that poor bastard, came off however many hours of work, and he's like, "Yeah, I've just got a few hours. I need to go have a nap and go back in for like 18 hours." And I'm like, Christ.
Yeah, he's got to be a busy guy these days.
Yeah, man, they
Right?
got like 30 inches of snow or something insane.
Holy. Yeah, we should actually maybe say something that well, hell, there's probably people that would most likely listen to us throughout their weeks and can't because there's still people like with no power in the fucking guts of that storm that pretty much roared through. It kind of started at you guys, right? And kind of diagonally took off across the US. Is that right?
Yeah, but man, like it went all the way. It was like a wall. I feel like that just, yeah, sort of whatever you want to call it, central, like just straight up and like, because even Ontario, I think they were 40 below or something absolutely insane, like right around this. So like all of this, and it wasn't like normally how it's okay. It starts in Texas and it starts blowing like a, I don't know, tornado or whatever normal typical weather trend. It was just like everyone just got hammered. And then like now there's a little bit after effects again. Like we were cold last night. Florida was freezing as well today. Like poor Lewis was like, man, okay, no, he's like, I know complain about the cold a lot type deal, but for real, am I wrapping my pipes correctly here?
Oh wow.
I think it was 25, felt like, man, like it was cold. Like for Florida, like it just, that shouldn't happen. So
Proper cold.
yeah, man, just insane. And of course, yeah, everybody's posting up. Like we see, I know BJ and like Harris and well, shit, just everybody from Texas east has seen some type of snow or weather.
Yeah, and I think, well, as we record this, it's Sunday night, but I think like the Carolinas were like kind of getting it Friday through the weekend. So like it's still kind of heading its way east.
Yeah.
Like it's been a week of just pandemonium for everybody. So and the point of bringing all that up is like we hope everybody's safe if you hear this and staying warm and whatever. I know there's places in Tennessee that haven't had power for like well over a week.
That's not
Yeah.
fun. We were there a
No.
couple years ago, and that's what we feared, right? Like last weekend when it got super cold here, and thankfully we only lost power for like an hour, and it was 11 o'clock in the morning, so the sun was out, keeping stuff reasonably warm still. But yeah, no, when your power's out for more than 24 hours, let alone like up to a week, like that's rough.
Yeah, it's true, man. I know, and I don't. I guess when you live in places like that, it's kind of hard for me up here to appreciate, right? Because here we deal with extremes on both sides of the fence, so you can kind of, I guess you're just almost like naturally bred to be prepared because you never know. But if you live in a place like Lewis does, let's say Florida, it's like, do we got sunscreen? Okay, we're good. Moving on, right? Does the AC work? Like you got your priority list of shit. Like me, I got space heaters, I got backup fucking generator. Like, you know what I mean? I'm ready for war.
You got
But
the EcoFlow 3000.
there's that too. That's a new addition to the family.
My EcoFlow's on its way.
Yeah, like I don't know, man. It's just actually here's one that I'll throw out there. This may be a little bit too late for people to hear this or learn it, but if you're in a house or an apartment or whatever that has a gas feed to it, and maybe if you're lucky enough to have a gas fireplace, which a lot of people think, they're just kind of for ambiance, right? Sure, they put out some heat. The longer you leave them on, the more heat they create. But a lot of people think that if the power goes out, those are no good. Well, if you pop your little area open down underneath your gas fireplace, you'll find a little plastic box that looks like it'll fit 2 AA batteries in it. It's because it will. And that is your safety backup to turn the switch on the wall, and those 2 AA batteries will ignite your gas fireplace.
Yep. Or you turn on your stove. You got a gas stove.
Yeah, true. Yeah. I guess the only downfall, you're going to be heating 1,000 square feet, but you're kind of burning off oxygen by doing that. It's kind of like a construction space heater. Whenever I see guys like YouTube videos and stuff, and they'll be out in their like non-insulated garage with one of those construction heaters going, I'm like, you're running out of oxygen in that room fast, right? Like, because that's how they work. They burn oxygen to anyway. I got one of those too, because I'd almost rather breathe shallow and stay warm than freeze my ass off and breathe deep. So but yeah, to everybody out there that's suffering through this, we're wishing you well and hope things come back around and turn normal at some point. It's gonna, like, there's been a lot of snow that's been thrown out of those clouds. Like, it's gonna take a while for folks to get their shit cleaned up.
Yeah, no, it is. And I talked to our friend Bill Butler last week as well. He was up in the Detroit area, and as much as he was complaining about the weather, he was saying, it's probably a good thing for the cold that's actually come, because they've had really mild winters for a good number of years. And then, of course, like the ticks have been up on the rise, and mosquitoes, all of those types of things. So, like, an actual deep freeze will hopefully kill some of that shit off and maybe do a little bit more of a reset with the vegetation and whatnot up there. So maybe that's all part of the plan. It's they say they're not messing with the weather, but they are.
Yeah, I know, that's another one, right? Mother Nature does have a funny way of working our way through things. I mean, hell, it's even like wildfires, right? Like, those forests are designed to go through that, and it cleans out all the undergrowth. And pine cones, some pine cones anyway, only open up and spread seed when they're burned at high like forest fire temps. So yeah, anytime we stick our nose in shit as humans, we always fuck it up, every time. Anyway, yeah, buddy. So our travels now, folks, I feel a little sheepish kind of approaching this topic. And the reason being is, well, Chris has known a lot about this for the last little while. I'm actually, quite honestly, going on about a year working our way through this. But recently here, we were traveling to the eastern, somewhat central eastern half of Canada because we had a little meeting we had to attend. And yeah, I don't really even know where to start this story, buddy. I mean, do you just start there, or where do you even go with it?
Well, I guess you could play off. We don't want to call it a corporate switch. I would just say it's like a step, kind of the next big step, right? Or an idea, or like ultimately it's to seek opportunity or to seek things that are more in line with, your life objectives and goals. And there was an opportunity that you wanted to possibly make it come to fruition, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably the best way of summing it all up. So we, well, maybe I'll rewind the clock like back to Pitts last year and just briefly touch on like kind of how this whole thing started. So, four of the five of us went to Pitts last year. My oldest daughter didn't attend. She had a sporting commitment that she had to do. And because we had never been to Tennessee before, but our whole family, just through like what we had seen online or in movies or advertisements, whatever, we were always like, man, Tennessee seems pretty cool. So because we have the opportunity to do this with the car show being at the end of it and stuff, let's go down, check this state out, and get a feel for it, see what we think. Well, needless to say, the instant that we crossed the Kentucky-Tennessee border, because that was the way that our route took us down there, we instantly started falling in love with it. And I remember having the conversation with my wife and kids before they went into the first gas station we hit, which was just into the border of Tennessee. I said, okay, guys, like, see what you think. Like, like kind of do the 30,000 foot view of everything. Take it all in as you go into the gas station. Anyway, I'm out standing in the rain, filling up the truck, and we finish up. Everybody gets back in with chocolate bars and drinks and shit. And I'm like, so what'd you think? And it was just kind of quiet in the truck. And I'm like, is somebody going to talk? What did you think? And my wife goes, okay, as we went to go into the gas station, there was these two younger lads, maybe she gauged them at like 12, 13, 14, and seeing my wife and two daughters walking to the door, and these two guys like got out of their way to let them walk through, and the guy closest to the door grabs the door. After you, ma'am. How are you? Nice to see you, whatever. So my wife is immediately smitten by this treatment, right? What a breath of fresh air, she says. And then the girls are like, yeah. And like the gal that was running the till was, how are you guys doing? And what are you doing? And she wanted to know our whole life story, and she'd never seen us before in her whole lives. I'm like, okay, well, that's great experience, but let's not get too far ahead of ourselves here. Let's just feel things out over the week and whatever. Anyway, as the week went on, it was just one example of that after another. And so we were starting to fall in love with the idea of Tennessee. Anyway, then we hang out with all the guys and their better halves and stuff for Pitts. And then we got a 3,300 mile like beeline home to get home to commitments here. So on that 3,300 mile drive, we start talking, my wife and I, and we just kept circling back to the fact that, man, Tennessee really touched us where it counts. So over the next month, we kick around some ideas, and we're like, I wonder if like what it'd be like to live down there, right? So long story short, we get to the point where let's look into this a little bit. And we ended up engaging with a legal firm that was going to help us look into what it would take for us to do this. And in and amongst about 9 months of back and forth and all kinds of financial commitments as well, might I add, and downloading of documents and this, that, and the other thing, we got ourselves just last week to a point where we could show up for an interview at a U.S. consulate and entertain the idea of whether or not we could get this visa to go down there and check things out for a little bit in a more official manner where we could live and work and do the things. And happy to announce we were given the green light on January 29th, 2026 at 11 o'clock in the morning to, if we want, the visa's there, have fun, and don't get into too much trouble.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, congrats. I've already congratulated you, but I feel like I should say it again.
Yeah, no, thanks, bud. So I guess that maybe explains what I was kind of rambling on about earlier, how Chris knows, you guys don't know. And one of the trickiest things for me, I don't know if it's my upbringing or what, but the trickiest thing through this whole whatever adventure to this time or point in time is it's kind of like you're almost like living two lives because you're doing one thing but not really talking about it and whatever. And it felt really weird for me, but I'm also of the opinion that like you should never count your chickens until they hatch. And quite honestly, we couldn't, because we didn't know what was going to happen until we overcame that final hurdle of the in-person interview in Toronto there, which, might I add, speaking of weather, cold AF. And those poor buggers just got punched in the nuts with like 3 feet of snow. Like, yeah. And for that to fall on a big city like that, I mean, you can only imagine, right? Well, I know you kind of grew up in the area, but so yeah, it was a tough thing to keep under your hat because obviously you're excited and anxious, nervous, like all these different emotions, but we didn't know what was going to happen with it until we had that meeting. And now that we've had it, well, I guess here's the me coming out of the closet as to what I've been up to for the last 9-10 months.
Yeah. So I guess that means so we're KASL Customs, Tennessee.
Yeah. So I guess on that side of things, KASL Customs.
Book your car in now. You're taking schedules or taking appointments?
Currently, and now I guess not currently, but officially now accepting new clients. Walk-ins welcome. We're accepting new patients. So yeah, KASL Customs will be in Middle Tennessee. And I guess doing everything and anything you've already seen me do or heard me do or whatever. But just we're going to give it a go down in Middle Tennessee. And very, very excited to, I guess, transplant ourselves down there, become part of that whole world of what makes Tennessee so special. And hopefully we can add something to the already great state of Tennessee.
Well, they wouldn't have let you in if you didn't have, I guess, an A for effort in terms of trying to make Tennessee and the U.S. Greater for that matter. And I think an important thing here, and we don't need to get into the details, but at a high level, I think it's important to know, both from the Canadian side and the U.S. side, to go through what you just did, because I did it. However, I didn't have 3 kids to worry about,
Right.
like you do. The process, folks, it's designed to make you give up.
Yeah.
Like it's not, and whether you hire legal assistance or you try and do it yourself or whatever it might be, like it's not, and so many people are like, oh, I'm just going to pick up and move. And it's not that easy. And it's not a forever thing either, right? Like there's accountability with it. It's not like we're allowed to vote or anything. We're just allowed to be here and pay some taxes for a certain amount of time, as long as they'll allow us to be here. And that's that. So better than not, but at the same time, it's not it's not the same. And I think there's a lot of stuff going on right now relating to visas and immigration and everything, and I hope that it gets redesigned kind of from like how we started the pod, right? Like talking about process and like the right people being in the right places. Um, like I can say personally, it would suck if for whatever reason it's like, nope, you're not from here, get out. Well, you know what? That would suck, but it's not my country. It's
Yeah.
the country's decision whether or not I should be here or not, or whether you should be here or not. But you getting the green light definitely gives me a little bit of confidence and hope in this area that, right, a good business plan, good character, and documentation and everything else can prove the value and the benefit. So yeah, congratulations again. I'm excited for you, man. It's not easy. Like, I guess the biggest hurdle, but
Yeah.
like, man, like moving your lives, the family, all that stuff. And
Yeah.
it's a big deal. It really is. Like it's the corporate switch 2.0. Just it's the KASL location switch.
Big time, buddy. Yeah, it's I know, because if I was to sit here and you've been through it too, buddy, so same would go for you. Like if we were to sit here and lay out everything that you got to go through to do this, I mean, you guys would tune out instantaneously. You know what I mean? It's not riveting stuff. Um One of the neat parts that it's kind of funny that I consider it neat, because it was essentially the hardest part for me to overcome in this whole thing is, here I am, and just like Chris did, doing things by the book, right? Like doing it the way you're supposed to do it. And any of my close friends that I had the conversation with, they're like, "What? Like, there's no way." You know what I mean? And in the meanwhile, we've got lots of examples of people immigrating and not having such a hard time, right? So there's, like everything in life, I guess, these two extreme ends, right? In this case, it's the legal way and the illegal way. And there's really no in between, right? Because, like I say, it's a really heavy, like, economic commitment to do this. It's a very heavy paper burden. Like, the amount of stuff that we've had to provide is crazy. Just to give you some context on that, like the binder that I took with me to my meeting was 514 pages. I've got like a half decent printer here at the house. And when I seen that, I'm like, I can probably handle it, but maybe I'll just make a phone call to like the local printer. They wanted $147 for me to print my binder out with them. I'm like,
the same thing happened to me, and I was like, Amazon Prime, new toner cartridge.
yep. It was cheaper to buy more toner.
Yeah.
So yeah, 514 pages of documents that we like electronically, but hand provided, you know what I mean, had to come up with. So not an easy task by any means. And the level of commitment that you have to show to your cause, just so you can get yourself to a point where you can submit your paperwork and or hopefully get to the next level, which is the in-person meeting, is just wild. Like, again, I would bore you guys to death, but if I told you all about, you'd be like, there's no way, like, at all. Because a good way to sum it up is everything that we have to do before we submit our stuff for consideration is all of the stuff a logical person would do once you had the green light to go. Like, I'm literally all set up in Tennessee. Like, I have a key to a building. I have hoists on the ground sitting in crates. Like, all of that, it was already there. It's been there for months, but I didn't know if I could go yet. But I had to have that all there just so I could submit my stuff for consideration.
Yeah, no,
So
they want to see the risk, right? And I can understand that, because it's sort of like they're not just going to let you in based on hopes and dreams and everything else. It's like, okay, well, we need to see that you're financially committed, that you're going to take the risk, that you've already invested and established everything, because, that's sort of the irony too. Like, You could have had employees. You could have been making hundreds of thousands of dollars on a monthly basis.
Yep.
Right? From Canada. And there would have been no problem. You're just a foreign investor, foreign business, right?
Yep.
Operating, making money, all that stuff. But this is all just to allow you in person to operate that lift, to put that car up and down. That's what all this paperwork was about.
Yeah.
Which is the crazy part that no one gets. It's, you know what I mean? You could be making millions literally, but for you to make the millions in the country,
you got to do all this.
Yeah.
It's the definition of, for guys, putting your weenie in the wind, or gals putting your tits out in the wind. Like, they're way out there in the thick of it just to get considered. Yeah, and sorry, I kind of digressed, but you brought it up, buddy. It reminded me. The neat part about it, like I was saying, it was one of the things that I'd bang my head against the wall all the way through this process was, like the whole way through, you're just going like, man, can I just sit down and have a conversation with someone to like show them me? Like, here's who I am and here's what I can bring to the table. Almost like walking into a bank in the 70s and getting a loan, right? Like, no financials, no nothing, but hey, I believe in this guy kind of deal. There's none of that. But on this whole like level of commitment, I think that if I was an American, like born and raised, passport holder, and I heard that this was how difficult the process or vetting process is to get into my country, I'd be like, hell yeah. You know what I mean? Like, because you're only going to get either the most stubborn, which isn't a bad thing in business, or the best of the best. Because let me tell you, folks, like, I don't want to take anything away or try to like assimilate this to like Navy SEAL buds training, but like, I can't imagine it's probably not very far off. Like, you're laying there in the fucking sand, getting waves crashing on you. Somebody's throwing logs at you. Like, it feels like that from a paperwork perspective. Like, you're just like, oh my God. And meanwhile, you're bleeding money out of every orifice. I've been paying rent in Tennessee for 6 fucking months.
It's probably the equivalent, the best way to describe it. You're buying your first home. You're applying for a mortgage. But you actually need... What'd you do to your microphone?
I muted it for a sec. Did it screw something up?
Yeah, you started reverberating a little bit. Anyways,
we're good
I
now?
think you're okay now. Yeah, you're good. So you're buying your first home, applying for a mortgage. You just started your job, 6 months prior, and it's like they're asking for references, every single pay stub. Where'd you get the down payment money?
Right.
But then worse off, it's no, you need to actually like pay the down payment. And you need to start making the mortgage payments for like, let's say 6 months before we decide if we're going to lend you the money so you could actually live in the house or not. Like, that's
great
probably
analogy.
Yeah, a good way to describe it. So it's like, you already got lawn and you need to pay for lawn maintenance. The hydro's got to be on. You got to have a pool boy. You got to have like all these, like all the things to make sure that the house and the property is being maintained and up to the bank standard.
Yep.
And like, it's just the ultimate stress test to prove that not only can you afford the payments to own the house, but you can upkeep the house and you will add value. Like, shit, maybe you got to renovate one of the rooms. You got to renovate at least one bathroom before we're going to approve you. That's the extent of this process.
And meanwhile, you're on the bank's timeline. Like, you have no idea how long this is going to get drawn out as you're trying to like submit things and wait for them to get back to you, book meetings, all this. Like, it's all on their schedule.
Yeah. So and if they say no, that's it. You're not getting any of that back.
No, you're still on the hook. Like, leases have been signed, like I have commercial insurance. Like, I'm paying power and water. Like, yeah, you're doing everything without the guarantee that you can actually go and do it once you've done all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
it's really hard to get your head around. And close buddies are looking at me going like, dude, you're nuts. Like I would have given up at that point right there. Because another analogy would be, and I think for a lot of, I know there's guys out there that like living on the risky edge of things. I'm not necessarily one of them, but a good way of looking at this would be like taking whatever you deem to be a significant amount of money, driving your ass over to Las Vegas and putting it all on black
Mhm.
just for one spin of that roulette wheel. Because it's that, honest to God, it's that risky. Like
yeah.
you literally have to be willing to lose this money because you don't know how this whole process is going to unfold. So, and I don't say any of this to like whatever, look for hero cookies. I know Chris doesn't either. Like this is just something that both he wanted to do and I've wanted to do now. And so whatever. It was a risk that I was willing to take or whatever. But I guess like maybe to not necessarily shift gears, but just come at this from another angle. Like there's lots of different reasons as to why we wanted to give this a go. One of which we've talked a lot on here. I think it usually gets pretty good reviews from people, but me and my headiness, I got thinking about this from like the deathbed perspective. And I thought to myself, like, would I regret wanting to do this my whole life and never doing it, and would that be a regret for me on my deathbed? And the answer for me was 1,000% yes. Like come hell or high water, I wanted to give this a go. And I kind of reached the conclusion that like I'll be damned if I don't do it, sort of thing. So there's that side of it. Another neat thing that I think will come out of this, maybe like in an indirect manner, is I think everybody knows by now, but dad of 3 daughters, 15, 13, and 9. And for anybody out there that has daughters, especially from the dad's perspective, right? Like you're kind of the you're the safety net, you're the caretaker, you're the whatever, the brick wall that surrounds them and tries to point them in the right direction and make sure they're safe and all these things, right? Anyway, I thought to myself, it actually it wasn't one of the determining factors for us to do this, but it came to me after we started the whole process out. I thought, for sure, each one of those girls, hopefully it only has to happen once, but they're going to have to deal with something in life where they either want something real bad, hell, maybe they're even in a bad like relationship or, got a shitty job, whatever. And they view whatever it is that they want to do as like the steepest, most impossible mountain to climb. And I couldn't help but think like by proving to the kids that, me and my wife could put ourselves through something like this, see it through, make it happen, essentially sell everything and restart somewhere else in our mid 40s, right? Like we're playing the back fucking nine of the 18 holes of life here. Like this is not the fucking time to be doing this. But all those little kind of ingredients, I think should give them some perspective whenever they go to deal with something that, like I said, they either really want or want to get out of or whatever the case is. And they can go like, yeah, mom and dad did this and that, like what they did is way harder than what I'm trying to do right now. Like this is no problem. I can do it. Right. So kind of a bit of a teaching moment, I guess. Like I say, we didn't do it for those reasons, but I couldn't help but think that that could or should be something that they can draw upon one day and be like, it's a piece of piss. I can
Yeah.
quit this asshole job I got or whatever,
No, I think that is a really like important milestone, like for everyone in the family.
Yeah.
Like I know me moving around so much when I was young was highly influential of, you're changing schools and it's like it sucks the first time. The second time it's just sort of frustrating. And then it's just like, okay, I can adapt
Yeah.
to this. And, you know, shifting one
Let me-
town over is one thing, or maybe it's a province or a state over, but then, you're changing countries, that's really starting to put things into perspective. And I think like it's just one of those things that'll make all of them stronger. And just
Agreed.
like not even blank, like, yeah, we lived through that. We know what it's like. Went through
Yeah.
one of the shit, like they watched you go through the process over the past year. Like most countries is not that hard to get into. You know what I mean? Like you
Yeah.
can you can go to Dubai tomorrow and open up a free zone entity and give yourself residency there all within 30 days.
Right.
Like US takes like a year.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, important life lessons, man. So no, I'm happy for you and I'm excited for everybody. I'm sure it's going to be, there's adjustments and everything, but at the end of the day, and I know I've said this before on some probably earlier pods because I haven't said it in a while, but where you are and where you're, I don't know, like driving home to every day has such an importance on your life. Like, are you happy with, right? Like the weather, the roads, that commute, the stores that are around you, like your environment, what becomes your routine? Because if you're not happy with those things, then like nothing else matters. And I used to tell this to high school kids, right? Like when they were trying to pick the schools that they were applying to, it's like, well, don't just pick the school because of the name or necessarily even they could have the best program of what you want, but if that school and that program is in shit, I don't know, some country that you have no business like being in, or an environment that's not helpful to you, or like you're not one that's good to live too far away from family, or like God knows what it is, right? Like that's all your environment's going to dictate your quality of life. Like where we were born has defined us. Like if I was born in Africa and you were born in shit, I don't know, New Guinea,
Yep.
I'm sure we would not be sitting here right now having this podcast together.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good little reminder to give yourself every once in a while, right? Man, like some of the other things, and these are all kind of on the softer side of things, but I could, like before we started doing this, I could kind of start to feel myself getting a little complacent in life.
Mm-hmm.
And back to my comment about, like playing the back nine on the 18 holes of life, it's like, well, is this it? And listen, I'm not trying to say that like this being it is awful. You know what I mean? Like we had soup tonight and a lot of people don't have soup to eat. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm not coming at it from that side of things. This is more like, hell, I don't know, like almost spiritual in that, like I think we're supposed to like put ourselves in uncomfortable situations and like try new things and change and what, like just have experiences,
Well,
and
everybody has a normal, like the norm to them.
yeah,
Right. So I know what you're saying. So like your normal might be different than my normal, versus somebody else's normal. And that's not always financial. I think that
yeah,
that's the biggest thing, where you're going with that. It's just, there's always an opportunity. Nothing's perfect. There's always room for improvement. Let's put it that way.
yeah, and just I don't know, like experiences is a big one for me, right? And I was like, man, like I really have no interest in just like, maybe next year me and the wife go and look for where we're going to be buried beside each other. Like, you know what I mean? Like forget all of that. Like there's just so much more life to live, And we live in a beautiful area right now. Hell, people come from all over the world to see it. So it's not even that really. It's just like, well, what else? Like I don't know, kind of like, a kid in a candy store. Like, what other candy can I try? That I don't even know if it's going to be as good or better. I have no idea. But if I don't try, I'll never know. And back to my deathbed example, will I sit there on my deathbed one day and go, man, I wished I would have found out if that was good or bad or not or whatever, but I didn't try it.
Yeah, and you know what? You could do it in a year's time. You could say, "Oh, this really isn't the way that we thought it was going to be," and you know what I
Yep.
mean? It gives you perspective, right? To be
Big
like,
time.
"Oh, well, maybe that that life that we were living, that norm that we had, was just fine," and like it's just going through the process and coming up with that conclusion that's important, right? And
Yeah.
like you being able to tick that box and be like, oh, okay, well, I did it. I can't say I didn't do it, you know,
Yeah.
and that I was just thinking about doing it. So, no, man, I completely get it. And right, I think a lot of us go through that, and it's challenging yourself to try and act on it in many ways. And, what happened to our podcast CEO there, Mr. Miller?
Mr. Miller. That's,
He's
you
been
know
pretty
what?
quiet, right? Like he was always good because we'd like go through like these conversations about, we're
Yeah.
um just in the norm of social media or this, that, and the next thing. And he was always sort of like, well, you do this. What's stopping you from doing that? He was kind of good at pushing the
Yeah.
buttons.
Yeah, he was. And I think, actually, I don't think I kind of know, um, speaking from experience too, right? Because being the question asker, it was neat, knowing a little bit of his background because like he was asking those questions not only to us, but almost like for himself. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And that's why I wanted to bring this up is because I think like a lot of people, much like our corporate switch conversations and stuff, I think a lot of people at least have this cross their mind every once in a while, right? Like, is this it? Like, and again, not that this is bad, but like, is this it? And I commend those that, you know, if they're happy, like that's whatever, goal number one, as far as whatever we can get out of this lemon of life, squeeze it for all it's worth. And if you think you've squeezed her right to the point where it's nice and sweet and easy to drink, then live her up. Right. But for those of us wired, like I know you and me, it's like, man, I'm going to ring this bitch hard. Like I'm getting I really want to get every drop out of it. And it becomes more relevant. And that kind of goes back to a lot of my middle-aged friends thinking I'm crazy for doing this because they're all trying to like, get ready for retirement, this, that, and the other thing. And me, I'm going the other way. It's like, let's spend it all now. Tomorrow ain't guaranteed kind of thing, right? Um, and I have noticed in and amongst my close friends, a lot of them have come around to a point where, like you can sort of tell just by the way they're asking questions now. They're kind of like, okay, I did tell him he was nuts, and I still do think he's nuts. However, I'm intrigued. Like, how has he got himself to a point where he can be like, fuck it, we're shooting from the hip. Let's just have some fun and see where the road gets us.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, buddy. It's we've had a lot of conversations, which has been really cool. Like as far as me kind of air quote complaining about this last 9-10 months of trying to muscle our way through all this, we've had some conversations just in and amongst the five of us in the family that I don't think we would have had otherwise if we weren't doing this. Like it's just the attempt at it has changed our lives completely and given us different perspective and stuff. Um, buddy, and that reminds me, actually, I was going to ask you when you were talking about growing up and moving a bunch and whatever. I'm curious to know at the time, with the child mind that we have, right, where we think our view of the world is only about 6 inches wide and whatever, we got so much to learn, right? But like, did you look at it from the negative side of things? You're like, ah, shit. Like I just got to know Joe, who I kind of share a desk with or whatever.
So, yeah, one of the first moves I want to say was grade. I was younger, right? So it would have been like grade 3 and 5. That one was tough because it was actually from well, whatever, near Toronto to just outside of Ottawa. And although I was in French immersion up to that point, the Ottawa school was full French.
Oh wow.
So yeah, so I struggled from, it wasn't necessarily because like all the kids they'd speak English, but like the courses were like all of them. Like where in French immersion it was always like almost like the bullshit electives. Like math was always English. You know what I mean? But like history might be in French or like whatever, random shit, right? So that was a challenging adjustment. And then another big one, like, and I got through it, right? So it's kind of like the people, and like I think as a parent, you'll kind of pick up on how your kids will kind of like fit in and adapt with others. I don't know what that's like this day and age because you sort of, I guess you almost keep your friends with you via social media more so. Cause like to me, it was like, oh, I left all these friends. I can only write them letters. Like I couldn't write them, send them emails or whatever. You know what I mean? So,
Pen pal shit. Yeah.
yeah. And another major one was, shit, what grade? Grade right before high school, grade 6 and 7. I ended up north again, up in Sudbury area, and I did quite well there. And I think it's because I like had two areas of big cities behind me going to like northern Ontario, so it was sort of like the
Had a
music
bit
and
of
like you
swagger.
could just speak of bigger city mindset to people. And I mean, I always, being into sports and basketball and everything is always, sports is important, right? Because that sort of
Yeah.
gives you that friend network no matter where you go. Um, and I remember like doing okay but not liking it, and I'm like, man, we need to go south, because like it was just the mentality of the northern small town, like it's mining up there, so it's like very industrial, like people working paycheck to paycheck, like it's hard living. It really
Mm.
is. And like the winters are winter. So I wanted to leave, and thankfully it was like, you know, back to the Peterborough area. And yeah, I knew a couple people going back, but you know, going into high school, you just end up meeting new people and everything anyways. But the perspective that that one put on, if I had stayed in that northern city throughout high school, I could almost guarantee you, I'm pretty sure I probably would have been arrested or ended up in jail.
Right.
Because it's just, there's so much bad shit goes on, and I'm like, I'm pretty smart and pretty crafty. So, but like, I feel like I would have ended up being an entrepreneur in the wrong way.
Right.
Is probably the road I would have gone down or something like that. So like that move was so important when I look back on it. And like in all these moves too, like we had fuck all for money. Like it was always making something out of nothing because my mom was going back to school. This was all like undergraduate, bachelor this, and then master's fucking degree that, and whatever else, right? So it was doing a lot with a whole lot of nothing. And being, you know, crafty about it, because like I remember, like, you know, you hustle with your paper routes, you hustle with shoveling snow, raking leaves, doing whatever the hell you can do to make some bucks, right?
Yep.
But yeah, like those moves help define you. The only thing that I would say in my, the thing that hurt me or the negative side to it was it never allowed me to really immerse myself or attach myself, because I was used to picking up and leaving. And I think like a military family would probably be pretty, you know what I mean,
Right.
understanding of that as well. Um So yeah, my 10 years in Dubai was the longest duration in the same place I'd ever spent in my life. And that was from 30 to 40. So up until
Holy
30
shit.
years old, I don't think I lived in the same place. Like I think the longest anywhere was maybe 4 years.
Wow. Yeah, because like everything in life, you know, the older you get, the more you've got to look back on and draw upon from experience and stuff. And I can't help but think that, you know, maybe the like the serial mover, you know, that's constantly moving, I can see an outcome like the one you're bringing up here. Like, yeah, you don't, you, you just get to the point where you're kind of crossing first base with friends, right?
Yeah.
And then bang, you're up and gone again. Um, Whereas I've kind of looked at this move for the kids where, you know, they've pretty much gone from the very early grades to the point that they're at now here, you know, got that core group of buds, which will be tough for them to say, well, I keep telling them it's not a goodbye, it's a see you later kind of thing, but it'll be tough for them for that. But, you know, like with say my 15-year-old grade 10, you know, she's 2 years away from hypothetically doing this for college or whatever, right? So I'm like, you know, I know you can't see this yet, buddy, but like, you know, it's all in what you make of it, first and foremost. But like, this is really good training kind of thing, right? Like, you're going to have to put yourself out there and whatever, meet some new buds and whatever else. Like, it will be, I can't help but think down the road, you'll look back on this and think, yeah, this was a good little move for us, you know, or a good experience for her, is really
Yeah.
all I'm looking for.
No, and it
But
could be as simple as like, well, whatever, a study abroad for a year
yeah,
or whatever. And right, I remember when Lewis and Laura they brought their daughter over to Dubai for a year, and she went, and it was think grade 10, and I think she kicked and screamed the whole 14-hour flight over there. And then once the year was up, she kicked and screamed that they were leaving. You know what I
right.
mean? Like she wanted to stay in the end. Um, but no, man, it's knowing how you are and knowing, right, like sort of that level of parenting and everything else, like your kids will definitely appreciate and understand. And like, even if it turned into the most negative experience, it would only benefit them in a positive way, is the way that I see
Yeah,
it. Just kind of going through the whole thing. And that's the worst yet best case scenario.
right.
So, no, man, moves are important. It really is. Perspective, meeting new people, like the world is just so transient now. I mean, like, and so mobile and so I don't want to call it, it's easy from a mobility standpoint.
Yeah,
And I think that importance from the true social aspect, and that'll be the important thing. It's like, okay, guys, no, like, you don't need to be on your phones and constantly chit chatting with all your old friends from back home. Just try and make some new
mm,
friends around here. I think that's going to be the most challenging thing. You know what I mean? It's like, not to let them go forever, right? To your point, like, okay, you know, you're on call it an extended holiday and you can check in with them and let let them know how you're doing. But the importance is to, network and embrace what you have in front of you.
it's actually kind of funny you bring that up. So, little personal story for you. So just in case anybody's wondering, I'm sure there's some people out there calling bullshit on me with the whole like my kids and the social media thing. Well, we had a bit of a situation the other day when so it was uh not last weekend because we're kind of in one right now. The weekend before last. Um Me and my youngest were at one of her hockey tournaments, and my wife and the other two were back home. And I get this weird text from my oldest, who's getting quite good at kind of passive aggressively like dipping her toe in the water. Like, you can almost see it coming via text message, right? How she starts off and stuff. And I'm like, oh, Kaylee's suckholing. She did something that she shouldn't have, right? And as it turns out, she took it upon herself to download Snapchat. And it's kind of funny me sharing this on here because this is literally like just a conversation that's happened between me and my wife. But I think it's kind of neat to share this shit on here because who knows, maybe it'll help somebody else out too. So, um, anyway, I'm getting to a point with her where, well, we're definitely transitioning from like dad daughter to like buddies, right? And I where I used to like kind of maybe not instantaneously but quickly fly off the handle at something like this, I just left it lie. And I find I actually get a lot of traction out of it because she's got experience with me flying off the handle. She doesn't know how to take this kind of new like, is he mad? Isn't he mad? Like he almost just seems like he forgot what I told him. Huh, maybe we're good. Is sort of the look that I get from her. So anyway, we got back, Sadie and I got back, and I kind of played that card. And it wasn't until a couple days later it came up, and her and I had a chat about it. And my big thing on it, sorry, this is going to turn long-winded, but my big thing on it is I'm like, you know, buddy, I get all the reasons that you're telling me to get this for. All the kids are on it. Nobody texts anymore. Nobody calls him. This is the way that everyone communicates, apparently. But I'm like, what about like being the kind of lion of the pack and doing it a different way? You know what I mean? Like, how about maybe it's just in your approach to it? Like, if somebody asks you if you have Snapchat, not kind of hanging your head low and being like, no, like my dad won't let me or whatever, being like, Snapchat? Come on, dude. You know, like that was so 2020 or whatever, you know? And just be your own person, you know, because for me, it's it's really and truly more about that than it is about like her having some social media app. I really don't want to raise lemmings that all follow each other off the fucking cliff. You know, like I want thinkers, I want questioners, I want leaders. Okay. We're raising fucking leaders here. So anyway, her and I had this chat. We thought it was pretty good. And then my wife and I, when we went to Toronto, her and I had a chat about it. And I said, you know, my wife's kind of warming up to the idea because she thinks we've like played our hand a little too long. She's like, okay, she's 15 now, guy. Like, we probably gotta start releasing the reins at some point here. I'm like, I agree. Okay, like I've honestly I've thought that far ahead. I agree with you. However, with whatever comes of this meeting, we hadn't had it yet, this whole like consulate interview that we were going to. I said, whatever comes of it, if it goes the way that we're hoping it will, we're going to be moving. And I said, if we release the hounds, i.e., give her Snapchat now, that Snapchat is going to be full of all the old friends. And when she goes to maybe try to introduce herself to new people, and if maybe the first couple times it doesn't go very well, what's she going to do? She's going to find herself a quiet little corner, get on that fucking Snapchat, and start messaging everybody at home to make herself feel comfortable.
Right.
And my wife went, fuck, I didn't think of that. She never told me I was right. They never will. But she kind of saw where I was coming from. I'm like, see, like I might not look like I'm playing 4D chess here, but I am in the background. Like I've thought this shit through. So anyway, Tennessee, we might change our tune a little bit, but for now, that's one of my big concerns, right? I'm just like, I want her to immerse herself and kind of be forced to be like, hey, here's my phone number, right? Like kind of the new old school way of fucking introducing yourself to somebody versus what's your snap and having all these old fucking snaps hanging around.
Yeah.
To hell with all that, right?
No, yeah, it's a good call, man. Because it's funny how, like, you leave, and of course, like, you miss your friends and all that, and you want to write them letter, message them, or whatever it is. Me, it was like I said, you'd write a letter or do any of that stuff. And I remember when I moved to Florida. All right. So it was like fresh out of university, go work with Lewis. And that was like the peak of like messengers, right? Like you had ICQ, AOL, Yahoo, MSN,
MSN.
IRC, I think was still like, it was dying off, but there was this this app or program, I should say. It wasn't an app, it was a program that you could actually have all of those messaging platforms in one. I think it was called Trillium or something like that. So you could log into all those individual accounts and then you could message, out of one platform.
Okay.
And I want to say it was something like at any given time, there'd be like at least 100 people online that I could message with, right? Because like your college, university days, it was just like, man, you're sitting in class, you're fucking bored, whatever it is. Like you found them on whatever. I don't even know how you like got people's. I think that was just sort of like you asked a girl, hey, what's your messenger or whatever, or like rate my face was a thing. And like all these other like weird sort of like datey-ish-esque sites, but whatever. That was the thing. You didn't ask for a phone number because nobody wanted to pay the fucking the cell phone bill. It was like, what's your messenger, right? So there's all these people. Man, I remember like I get home and I'd be downstairs at Lewis's. I'd be on the fucking laptop and just fucking chit chatting with all these people. And then it was like the holidays were coming around or something. And it like dawned on me. I was like, how many of these people like would I actually call? You know what I mean? Like would I pay like on my cell phone, like that I want to actually give them a call? Like that was like that just, you know what I mean? You chop the list by 90%, like right there, right? And then it's like, well, how many of these people would I actually like write a physical letter to or like send a Christmas card to? And like and that's actually that was the turning point for me of like who's really like a friend versus an acquaintance. And not too long after that, like and not too long after, right? Like Messenger, all those platforms were sort of starting to die off, and it was like people just started texting and doing all that shit. But yeah, that was like a major turning point of like, man, like that was brain rotting back then. And now it's like tenfold because you're not even really chatting with people and having conversations with them. You're just fucking scrolling, looking at useless mind-numbing content and leaving a comment as a troll on some shit. Like it's not even an engaging conversation. So like that's where this is, you know what I mean? Like the evolution of this social communication that we're on, right?
Well, and I don't have Snapchat, so I only know what I've kind of like absorbed, through
Fuck
life.
that, man. It's like so 2020.
So
actually, I think it was like 20. Like, man, it's been around a while now.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's like late teens. It's kind of when it came in. So, I actually, she'll never admit this to me, but my dad spidey sense tells me the reason that people want this app is, and I think all these kids will look back on this one day when they're our age, maybe their parents themselves, and kick themselves for it. But it makes it very easy to obtain someone else's contact information because I believe all you need is their name, right? So I can just go in Snapchat and let's just say I overheard some girl's name that I liked. I can just type her name in there. Boom, there she is. I can instantly message her, right? Versus, this is where I think kids will kick themselves, is that kind of extra little touch that we all had to go through. Well, hell, there was two actually. We had to try and get their phone number. Maybe had to find it in a phone book and fucking ask their mom or dad, whoever answered the phone, to pass it to the girl, right? They miss out on all that. Like, especially from a girl's perspective, you don't understand how easy you're making it for all these fucking slime bags to just fire you a quick dart through Snapchat versus going, hey, can I get her number
And
or
doesn't
whatever?
Snapchat, like, don't messages vanish after 24 hours too?
I think it's something to do with if you send photos, they're there and they're gone. You see them once, and I think there's something you can like save them, but it tells them you saved it. Because
Yeah,
that's
if
the
you
other,
like
that's
screenshot
the,
it, it'll tell them, like, which I've noticed Instagram tried to introduce some of that, like when you're sending photos. And funny enough, I tried to screenshot one of those the other day and I couldn't. It just gave me a black screen. I was like,
oh, really?
motherfucker, it's almost like I needed another phone to take a picture of the screen of my phone. But yeah, like,
That's the dark side of it, right? Because
yeah, like
like,
the whole
and I think,
vanish mode or whatever, which, you know what? Part of me could appreciate a little bit of that, because like, at least, especially like when you're young, then it's like, oh man, I really shouldn't have sent that or done that. Well, it's gone anyways.
well, but you know more about tech than I do, buddy. It lives somewhere, right?
Yeah.
It may just not be visible on the person's phone that you sent it to, and they can't show it to the next person, whatever. But yeah, that was one of the things initially. I'm like, fuck that. Like, this is just way too easy for dick pics and
You know
bullshit,
what you
you
should
know?
do is, like, as a gag, just to like fuck with your kids, buy them some walkie talkies when you leave. Just say, here, I got you these. You stay in touch with your friends.
Yeah, brand new cell phones, guys. Here you go. 10-4 over. Well, dude, one I pulled the other day. This may not be on your radar because you're whatever, not hanging with the kids, but something the gals are doing these days. I hate to even admit this because I thought that, you know, for me, it kind of boils down to your upbringing, but I guess they got to screw up here and there. They're going to toe pick every once in a while, whatever. So I noticed this when we were in Europe this past summer. Some of the gals that went with us on this team were walking around with what almost seemed like a 45-degree kind of cropped t-shirt, but I had seen them all buy these t-shirts. Had some bullshit slogan on it, like "I love Swedish boys" or something like that. And yeah, why their moms ever let them buy this? Anyway, there's a lot of questions surrounding this topic, but I seen them buy the t-shirts, so I saw them hanging on a hanger. I knew that they were all like a flat-bottomed t-shirt, but then the next time I seen all the girls together, I'm like, what the fuck? That t-shirt comes across their body, like showing their tummy, and it's on this like 45-degree cut. And I was like, thank God my daughter doesn't do shit like that, right? I don't even know how they've done it, if they're tucking it into their bra or what they're doing to create this whole. It's kind of like the Wayne Gretzky jersey from back in the day, right? The side tuck. Okay.
Yeah.
But way higher. So anyway, I just remember thinking to myself, what the fuck is wrong with these kids, and what parents letting them go out like that? But whatever. Oh, and the other thing too is, and this was kind of a thing when we were younger. You know, like if you're going to the beach with some gals or whatever, they'd have the cutoffs on, cutoff shorts, and maybe they'd leave like the top button or two undone, kind of flail over the waistband of the cutoff shorts. Kids are fucking doing this, like going to school like that now with full length jeans. And this was another thing I seen these gals doing over in Europe. Well, the other day, my wife picks up all three of the kids, and my daughter gets out of the front seat, my oldest, and she comes around the back of the truck. And I just happened to be like in the front door area of the house at the time. And that little fucker comes around the corner with her t-shirt in this 45-degree Wayne Gretzky tuck. And I looked at that, and I looked at her jeans, and they're not undone, but the band's like they're rolled over to kind of like shrink the waist of your jeans kind of thing. And I seen her meet eyes with me, and instantly she turned like she was going to get back in the truck. I come out that fucking front door, guy, like I was on fire. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. And I come around the corner of the truck, and here she is with her shirt kind of pulled down or whatever. I'm like, there's not a chance you got out of the truck with your shirt like that, kid. I saw what you were doing. Anyway, it turned into this whole thing. And she's like, Dad, like everybody's doing it, which I fucking hate hearing anyone say that. If that's what you say, automatically, I think you're a sheep, like, fuck, it drives me nuts. But anyway, I come back in the house, mad as a wet fucking cat, right? And I think to myself, how can I get her back? And her and I were just getting ready to leave the house. I tucked my t-shirt up under my fucking armpit, and I took her to practice like that with my shirt 45 across, my gut hanging out, fucking rolled my pants down and everything. Total biggest embarrassing moment of my life. But I'm like, you know what? I am going to embarrass the shit out of you, kid. Fuck that.
Is there any pictures of this?
No, my wife did take some, so yeah, we could maybe share them with Britt.
Oh my.
Oh, but dude, like, okay, all jokes aside, big picture. And I've had a couple conversations with her about this. It's probably what like frustrates me the most about this is, man, I have really put in the work to try to help her understand where I'm coming from and try to see the bigger picture of it all. But it's like, so how I broke this down for her, I said, buddy, I remember exactly what it's like to be in your shoes right now, grade 10, friends are currency. If somebody shows up wearing something weird, you make fun of them. And like, it's all about just kind of staying in your lane, making sure you're part of the cool crowd and whatever, right? Fast forward in life, I said, everything does a 180 completely. So like that kid in the corner of your school that you guys stand there in your group and maybe you poke fun of and whatever else. How do you know that kid isn't making Amazon 2.0? Like he's sitting there with his head down, just fucking hammering shit out on his cell phone, making an LLC and doing whatever else. I'm like, you guys don't want to hang out with that kid right now when you're trying to be too cool. But in 20 years from now, you won't give a shit about any of those kids that you thought were cool at the time. You'll want to talk to that dude in the corner that's actually doing shit in life. And, like they have something interesting about them. And you don't give a fuck about what shirt they're wearing or what shoes they got. They could show up with Velcro shoes. You don't give a shit. You want to hang out with people that add something to your life, and they will want to hang out with you because you add something to theirs and they're interesting. Like none of this, like, bullshit hen stuff that you guys do right now, none of that matters. Like you won't have any time for that in your 40s, hell, in your late 20s, 30s. Like I think it's the reason why I steer away from like just random invites to dinner parties. I'm like, listen, unless there's somebody that I can find a quiet corner with and we can talk about like fucking different universes or something, I'm not interested in going. I'm not into this surface level bullshit. I want to talk about like big things. Like what are you doing? I don't want to hear that you just watched the latest series or whatever. Like what are you doing in life? Something cool, And maybe that sounds a little off topic, but it does kind of, for me, it ravels itself into this whole adventure of ours, right? It's just like, I want to surround myself with people that are doing shit. I don't want to just sit around and watch movies for the rest of my life. Like, what a waste of a life, at least for the way I'm wired.
Yeah, no, it's true, man. Well, I hope I get to see this picture. You don't need to send it. Or maybe we can like post it up at Pitt's, like up on the big screen or something. But,
right.
Oh shit. Yeah. It's,
funny how it all changes.
So this whole rolling the gene thing down, like, is this, because like I noticed that jeans went from like that ultra low rise, like the fly was like not even a fly, and
90s,
I actually quite miss those jeans. That was probably my favorite era of jeans.
Agreed, because you had to be like tip top to like properly rock those.
Yeah.
Right.
So And then they went high again, which I've never been a fan of that shit. So like they're rolling them now to like find this in between, or is like this low rise shit going to come back?
Yeah, or like maybe this is, if you just look at it like from an evolutionary standpoint, maybe this is our way of working back to like ultra low rise again. I
Because
don't
like
know.
I've seen like ultra like women wearing ultra baggy
I'm not a
pants,
fan of that either. A
and
lot
I'm
of
like,
gals are doing that,
okay,
and I'm like, those are so unflattering.
yeah. Well, I was just because like you know how the trends do their 360s or whatever, history repeats itself type thing. So I was
Yep.
like, oh, I wonder if like the whole because like man, I'd be happy to see all these skinny jeans go.
Right. Well, to your point about the extra long kind of fly waist area, when that came around, I know, man, my wife showed up with a pair of these. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, not that, you know, I'm fucking Tommy Hilfiger in the fashion world or anything, but I'm like, are you trying to show everyone that you've got like a 13-inch vagina here? Like, what the fuck does anyone need to fly that long for? That
I
looks
just
ridiculous.
like not comfortable wearing pants that high, like which I can actually for whatever reason we were up to speed on Landman and we didn't catch the finale of season 2 till last night. And I got to give Tommy's got like a bit of a pant sag cowboy look about him.
Hey, speaking of which, um, I've seen a couple of interviews him recently, and it's so wild to see the difference of like him, real Tommy versus like Landman Tommy. Because yeah, he's got this like bandana that he runs an earring through his ear and his bandana. Like there's a lot of things going on with Tommy, the real
Right.
Tommy. Um, but he actually talks about this. So he actually, because however he's kind of built like a 2x4, right? He actually buys women's pants, and there's this whole story behind like him and Ali Larder on the show. Like she's always walking up behind him, like pulling his pants up, and he's like, "This is just what happens. Like I have a negative ass. Like there's nothing for fucking pants to hang on to." So, and I guess this is why he buys women's jeans in his personal life.
Oh, no shit.
Yep.
Huh.
Yeah, there's a whole thing behind it.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Oh,
But dude, yeah, the whole long fly thing blew my mind. And then to your point, because yeah, we were just through airports, and those are usually pretty good places to people watch and get a feel for what's going on in the world these days. And yeah, it's these gals that for you can't really tell because the jeans are so huge, but like you can kind of guess, like you probably have a pretty nice figure. What are you doing wearing those? Like it looks like you put your husband's pants on because yours were all in the wash or something, you know?
yeah. Oh, that's good. Oh, speaking of which, so what was Toronto like other than the
Mm.
snow?
And yeah, snow and cold temps, pal. We were like in the Fahrenheit world, -20 or
Right.
worse. Yeah, we actually, here's a kind of a couple little funny stories for you, and I know you'll appreciate these. I'm sure others will too. So, um, going to this interview is kind of an interesting animal in that you cannot show up with anything other than the paperwork that you need. No electronic devices, which in my logical mind translates into cell phones. And that's it. You got to go through a security check and all this stuff. So, knowing that leading up to all this, now we showed up the day, or pardon me, 2 days before our interview. So, we had a full day there before the following day being our interview, and booked an Airbnb so that we were close enough to the consulate that we could walk over there. So, anyway, just to add a little whatever flavor to this disaster, 3 of the 5 of us get sick on the way over there. So that adds to the confusion. So the blank day that we had before the interview, I'm like, okay, regardless of how sick anyone is, come hell or high water, we need to map this out in the old school fashion as to where we need to be so we're there on time, because we're not going to have our phones or I don't even know if you can buy a paper map anymore, right? And it's Toronto, which you're familiar with, but like for anyone that hasn't been there, guys, we're talking proper big city, okay? And it's an old city too. So we set out on this walk, and it's about a just shy a 20-minute walk over there. Dude, we get there, like boogers are frozen. It like we're proper frozen cold. And we prepared for it too. And we're Canadian. You know what I mean? Like we're not it's not like Lewis and Laura doing it, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, speaking of electronic devices, we left our phones at home, but I got this Apple Watch, and I thought, well, this thing, if I kind of pre-program it while it's tied to the cell network or Wi-Fi, whatever, it'll keep my map going for me. It'll show us our way there. So anyway, I think I've kind of found a loophole, if you will. Well, the next day, and because the walk was so cold, the wife talks me into maybe we should get an Uber. I'm like, yeah, but like you kind of need your phone to Uber. She's like, well, book it in the room, put the phone down. Soon as he shows up, we'll buzz down the elevator. I'm like, it doesn't really work that way in Toronto. These fucking buildings are 80 stories high, and elevators don't just show up on command. You got to wait for 10 minutes. Anyway, we booked it, buzzed down. I'm still wearing my watch, Apple Watch, my loophole, if you will. And we get in the Uber. We're in traffic. I'm going, oh shit, here we go. We get there on time. We got to line up in -20 weather with all these other folks that are trying to get in there and stuff. And the security guy goes, just so everybody knows, no electronic devices. I'm like looking at my watch going, shit, is this going to count? I don't know, whatever, right? Like, surely it can't. I get a little closer to the front of the line, and I see a sign with all these pictures, just in case you didn't understand English, pictures of things that aren't allowed in there. Apple Watch is one of them. Like, just to take this one step further, I've never known anyone to have one of these, but I've seen ads for them. Rings, there's electronic rings now that'll like almost like these health bands, keep your pulse and all that shit. Can't even bring those in.
Right.
So I'm like, fuck, what do I do? And there's no place to keep anything on location either. Like you gotta, you know, all this, but yeah. So anyway, this one dude in front of me who I think was pleading ignorance like I was to this point, he's like, fuck. I'm like, Apple Watch? He goes, yep. I said, me too. Where can we put them? He's like, well, somebody said there's a convenience store just up the way here. I'm like, oh fuck, here we go. I'm like almost next in line to get through the next gates, right? I run up to this Asian convenience store, and at the closer I get, they've got their front door open in -20 with a neon sign on it saying consulate lockers. Yeah. Like they're capitalizing on dummies like me, right? $20 later, they kept my watch for me. And anyway, in we went. But yeah, they take this whole electronic device thing very seriously. But anyway, yeah, we went through the whole thing. Everything from fingerprints to passport checks to all the stuff, line up. And it's just a never ending mess of lines, right? Yeah. You're in just cattle. Well, we do our interview, and the gal, very unemotional, you know what I mean? Just matter of fact in her ways. She goes, okay, you're approved. You can accept, or you can get your passports and all your paperwork in like a week and a half. And there's 5 of us crammed in this tiny little area talking to the lady in this ticket booth master thing. We all kind of look at each other. I see my oldest and my middle and my wife start getting misty. I'm like, whatever, bit of an emotional roller coaster that we've been through on this whole thing. I'm like, okay, let's just move out of the chaos. We'll do this in the hallway or whatever. So we're in the hallway, everybody's hugging and whatever, right? And I'm like, guys, we still need to walk home in -20. Like, whatever you do, get the tears out of your eyes or you won't be able to blink. Like, you're toasted, you know? Yeah. Anyways, yeah, it was quite the adventure. Oh, another thing that I couldn't bring in there, I really can't think of any reason as to why this would be, but my bad habit. my chewing tobacco. Can't bring
Right.
that in either. So, and I found that out once I was already through the doors. He's like, "Hey, just take it out and throw it in the snowbank." I'm like, "Are you sure? Like, is this entrapment? Are you gonna arrest me or something?" He's like, "No, don't throw it in our snowbank. Throw it in the snowbank across the road." I'm like, "This is totally Toronto, right?"
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, it's a real adventure that consulate visit, but definitely, dude. Whatever. I don't know if anyone else cares to hear this, but like between me and you, definitely not what I pictured. Um, I'm thinking like anytime you've seen a consulate in the movies,
Yeah.
right? Like wrought iron gates and kind of stairs up. You're going there in like another country and you're a refugee, whatever. Nothing like that at all.
No. No, it was funny, right? Because I was trying to sort of like give you the rundown of how it goes, and I'm like, this is just one of those things. It doesn't even matter what I say. Like, you just got to kind of
Yeah.
go through it.
y- It after doing it now, yeah, you were bang on with it all. Um, it's almost like you cannot visualize what that whole situation, what it even looks like, let alone what it's going to be like once you're in it.
Yeah.
But
Oh boy.
Toronto, here's actually another neat little tidbit. Some out there may find interesting. Um, I was in one of the lineups behind a fella from India, and he was telling me, I said, what are you in for? Like jailbird kind of conversation, right? And I couldn't quite make out what visa he was applying for, but the more he told me the backstory, the more it made sense. So um, his Indian passport only allows him access to, maybe don't quote me on this, but something like 45 other countries. And in order for him to say what he was going in to get this visa for was to visit the US, in order for him to go to the US, he has to go through like, I think he'd been after this for something like 8 or 9 months worth of a process just to get a visitor's visa to go down for him and his girlfriend to see like the Statue of Liberty and stuff. They wanted to experience New York. And he was going on 8 months to try and get that silly little piece of paper that says that he can go down there.
Wow.
Yeah. Because I don't even know why. I'm sure there's political reasons and all the shit, but um, yeah, like, so I guess moral of that story is if you see somebody or you run into somebody in your country from one of these other countries, they have most likely gone through like a really serious ringing in order just to get that visitation rights, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's crazy, man. Because obviously, like even in Dubai, like hearing and seeing, like there's countries. Well, shit. Even Kevin's wife, she's from Iran. Like it's
Mm.
got to be one of the shittiest passports that are out there, and um, it's almost like we just take it for granted with a Canadian passport, or if you got an American passport, you can pretty much go wherever you want without having to apply for a visa. But it is not like that for everybody else. Um,
You know what? It's
it's
funny you say
crazy.
that, dude, because I just I almost felt stupid after I said it, but like, um, he tells me this, and I'm like, man, I had no idea. And he kind of looks at me with this kind of like duh look on his face. He's like, yeah, why would you? You have a Canadian passport. Like you guys have the, like you say, the Canadian and the American, and I don't know, maybe there's like throw the EU or one of those countries in there, and um, like you just, yeah, you don't know what you don't know, right? And I almost
Mm,
felt bad afterwards. I was like, fuck, that was kind of a stupid way of answering that question. Like, what an ignorant thing to say. But I had no idea. Really didn't.
yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
there's people though, dude. I I know um actually I heard this stat recently and it surprised me that it was as low as it was because I was of the opinion that um probably most of Canada has a passport, but I actually think it's quite low. It's not as low as the United States, but like it's something like 56% of Canadians have passports, and then something like 51 or 52 of percent of Americans do. But anyway, what I was going to say is, like, I know people that don't have passports, like,
Yeah.
never wanted one, never had the reason to have one, whatever. And I mean, if they definitely wouldn't know what I was just saying, because they don't even have one themselves. You know what I mean?
Oh, true.
It's pretty wild.
Oh, it is, man. So shifting gears, what's
Yep.
your plan of attack? Like, do you have a I don't know. What are you going to work on first? I guess you got to like set shop up and
Yep.
go to
Yeah.
get ready for pits. So that's why, like, for anybody now, I'd be like, man, why would Gary want to do that insane fucking travel again to go to pits again 2 years in a row? Now it's all going to come
Oh,
together, and why he'll be making it this year again.
that's true. Yeah. I never even thought, but there may be some listeners going, oh, yeah. Well, that said, though, we were still in the hoping stages, right? But yeah, I was kind of gambling on that one too, right? Because I'm like, yeah, we'll be there. Jesus, I hope this all works out. Um, yeah, so a few different things on that topic. Like, um, we definitely have a lot of unraveling to do here still with our own lives. We tried our best to, leading up to, even though we didn't have any guarantee or anything, we've sort of been trying to, like, maneuver our way through life to prepare a bit for, I guess, a positive outcome, but not knowing, it's in your best interest not to get too carried away with any of that. So we still got quite a bit to do to unravel our lives here, but we're kind of thinking and hoping that we could maybe, inside of like February, probably towards the tail end of, be maybe on the move. And then yeah, the other part of your question, like, what's the plan once I get there? Well, even though um I did my best to try and keep the whole idea of this kind of quiet, at least until now, till we had some sort of guarantee in place. Um, Even through that small circle of friends that knew a little bit about or whatever, we're kind of traveled around a little bit. So there are some hypothetical bookings already to, I guess, kind of get us going and start it up there. But yeah, man, like, all I've done, well, actually, here's another little fill in for everybody. So back when I saw Chris last month, the tail end of or after I seen him, I buzzed over to Tennessee and received a bunch of shit at the shop, and, well, quite literally, pretty much just did that. I didn't see any need in starting to set anything up. Not that I even had any tools to do so, which was a funny story that I did already share with Chris, but I felt like such a fucking jabroni. I had to go to the local parts store and literally buy, like, the freshly divorced wife's tool starter kit, like a hammer and a fucking multi-bit screwdriver. Like, and I mean, this is small town Tennessee, right? The good old boys running the tills and stuff. And here I am fucking buying the starter kit, toolkit. Like, oh God, this is a bad start, but you got to do what you got to do. Right. Um, Anyway, so yeah, got to set the shop up, put lifts in, and yeah, like, it'll be whatever, other than having the stuff laying on the floor there already. Everything's got to be set up, and then obviously drag all my stuff that I got here down with me and everything else. So lots to figure out between now and fully operational,
Yeah.
but we'll try and
Never a
take
dull
everybody
moment.
along. Yeah, we'll try and take everybody along for the ride if they're interested in seeing it. I don't know. I can't help but think it's most likely going to resemble a bit of a reality TV show. Like, fuck. Um, we don't have as much set up as one would think. Like, in all honesty, we have an idea where we're going to call home. Like, we don't have a home to go to. in case anyone's wondering. We do have a few places in mind, but yeah, we got to find schools for the kids. Like, we got to try, and another weird part is kids up here, the start and stop school dates are September to June, and in Tennessee it's August to May. So no matter what point in time that my kids go down there, they're automatically a month behind.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, well, and we got to travel down there too, which we're not going to do what we did last year. We're going to try and milk it a little bit, maybe take a week to get down there. And I'm like, yeah, so we need correspondence for the kids. Plus, they should probably be trying to get themselves ahead. So when they show up to school in Tennessee, it's not like, what chapter are we on here?
Oh,
So yeah,
yeah.
lots of balls in the air. There's balls on my forehead, chin, fucking shoulders. There's balls everywhere.
Oh, well, we'll just what are you? Well, yeah, clowns juggle, right?
Yep.
Yeah, we'll call you the juggler, the ball
Yeah.
juggler.
The ball juggler. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, so we'll keep you guys posted on it all. I guess kind of summarizing everything. My apologies for, I don't even know if anybody cares to hear an apology, but I felt weird over the last few months kind of having this hypothetical thing, but I hope I did a decent enough job explaining like why and where and how and everything else as to why I was kind of keeping it under my hat. I've been non-existent on YouTube for the most part and all the other places really, but it's kind of because we're in this holding pattern. We didn't know what the fuck life was going to be like.
So here's the question.
Yeah.
If it had not gone in your favor, would you still have shared the story?
Oh, wow. That's I okay. Usually the quickest thing that comes to mind is the best and most truthful. I probably say no. And not that I spent a lot of time entertaining this side of things, but I did quickly ask the people that we had helping us through this, like, what happens if you get a no, right? And from what I could tell, it's a whole reapply process. Or if it's a no, it's because you have to provide more information or something to that effect. So it's sort of a hypothetical no. It's not like a beat it, never come back kind of no. So yeah, I'd probably just be right back in the same boat of like, okay, I guess we'll have to stretch this out longer. But man, I'm really glad that didn't happen, because for anyone that watches us on YouTube, like the garage is my home garage is transformed into a fucking storage locker. Like we're in full on like mid move mode. Just, I don't know, I guess in preparation, right?
So has anyone asked you why the vert hasn't been in the garage?
Nope.
So you could be a magician. It's just like that whole like misdirection thing,
Well, one of two things is true in all that. So either people aren't paying close enough attention, or nobody gives a fuck. I'm probably thinking it's the second or the latter of the two. I did, however, because another quick little backstory. One of the two videos that I've put out in the last like 3 months was why you need a stock car in your life, right? And funny enough, I took that car out just to kind of get the fluids moving in it and everything else, because I was getting ready to move it. And while I was like, I kind of got to the end of the road and I went, that's maybe not a bad video idea. And I really have nothing in the hopper. Maybe I'll go back to the house and get the camera quick, right? So, funny enough, I put that video out, and one of the more often received comments I got from it is, I thought you were selling the car, right? And I guess backstory on that is, listen, I said this to a lot of people too. I'm like, I don't want to sell it, But I think I even said something to this effect too. I was like, I don't want to sell it, but we got a lot of things that we're kind of looking at doing and hopefully in the future. And if I sell it, it should make life easier for me, should all these other things come to fruition or whatever. Well, here's what it was all about. I'm like, why the hell do I want to move cars across the country? I already got to move one, right?
Yeah.
Like maybe we'll just whatever, color in the chips and start over. And here's the worst part about it all. So the poor old 79, right? The ugly duckling. I'm into that car for pretty much as it costs me to move it across the country. So to me, that car just doubled in value, right? Just as
Yeah.
far as input costs are concerned. But I don't know. I wasn't sure. I don't know. This is a whole nother long-winded thing, but like, how long is it going to take me to let everybody know that this is now a thing? And hey, we're open for business, whatever. Like, maybe I can at least get some content out of the 79 or whatever, right? Like, just trying to think outside of the box of like, how can I still carry on and feed my family? So I'm like, okay, I'll pay to move her, right? Let's move the old girl. So yeah, I've probably droned on long enough about all this, but guys, I'm telling you, I've never done anything in my life where so much of my life depends on all of these other things happening. Like it's so many if this then that's that I honestly didn't even know which way is up for the last 9 months. Like just a scrambled mess. Yeah, and it all depended on that bloody trip we just got back from.
Yeah. Man. All exciting times.
It is, buddy.
Yeah, you can
maybe
finally rest a little bit. Because like, don't get me wrong, you're gonna be busy as hell, but like at least like that's just something like you said, right? You're like keeping it to yourself, you're just stressed out, and no matter how much I say or somebody else says, or you tell yourself, okay, I did the process, I've done, like I don't have anything to worry about.
You don't know.
You just never know. It's so out of your control that it's impossible. Like if anybody went into that truly not caring what the outcome was, then they shouldn't be approved.
Yeah.
To begin, like I think that's part of it.
Yeah. Yeah, true. And I can't help but think that, in that process from the interviewer's perspective, it probably shows on people's faces, right?
Yeah.
They probably want to see that you're a little anxious and a little nervous, because if you're not, then yeah, like what? Like, how bad do you really want this?
Yeah. Yeah, they probably got like the infrared camera shining to be like, oh, this motherfucker's sweating his ass.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
See the little bead running down your forehead.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, to your point, bud, it, now at least we have, even though we still have a lot of things that need to fall into place and line up, at least now it feels like you've got a little bit of a foundational base to be basing all these other crazy moves and stuff you got to make in life. So, whereas, yeah, prior to this, nothing but a fart in the wind is all you're dealing with. Hopes and dreams.
Yeah.
So, yeah, feels good. Like I definitely feel lighter now for sure.
Well, good. Well,
yeah, but anyway,
probably a good place to end on a positive note.
I think so too, buddy. So thanks everybody for listening to our rambles. Hopefully there was some good stuff.
We'll try and talk more Fox Body stuff next week.
Yeah.
But this was for the greater Fox Body good. This is right? Gary can get his hands dirty on Fox Bodies south of the border. So
yeah. Shouldn't have to worry about too many more daytime running light modules or deep in the south.
Less rust, undercoat.
Less rust. Lower door rocker guard, right? On the LXs. What else? Those are the three big ones.
Yeah, you'll have different speedos that you're dealing with all the time.
Speedos,
you'll get
correct.
excited when you see a New York Speedo out of a 93 with the 7th digit.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I've never seen one here like in Western Canada, but like the 87, 88 California cars, Mass Air cars.
Oh yeah.
Have seen them in the States, but not up here. Yeah. So some neat new stuff that whatever. I think these cars have kind of jumped the border a few times, most of them now anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be fun. So, well, thanks folks for listening to our rambles. All that really stands out to me is talking about fucking jean fashion, kids, social media applications, and a little bit of this Toronto trip, but whatever.
Gary in a
Hopefully it's fun.
triangle t-shirt.
Yeah, the Wayne Gretzky talk.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Well, have yourselves a great week, and we'll catch you the following one.
Yeah.